Well, estate planning and probate law might be confusing legal terms that you might think you don't really need, but they're the foundation on which you build the security of your family's future. In today's fast-paced world where the unexpected can happen at any moment, having a solid plan in place is really vital. It's about more than just safeguarding your assets, though. It's about preserving your legacy and even thinking about your loved ones, making sure they're taken care of no matter what life may throw at you. And we never know what that's going to be. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Medina University. I'm Chris Benson. Today's guests are here to take away the mystery of estate planning. So please welcome, that's what you're going to do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Please welcome Jim McCann and Tyler McCann to the show. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
So as we get started, what inspired you all to go into law? I'd love to hear your story.
Actually, your producer, Chris Nicken's father and I started a security company. I got my law degree for that company, and then we sold the company.
Oh.
So I had the law degree, so I went into law.
How wonderful. Excellent. What about you, Tyler?
Well, Jim is my father. He's obviously an attorney, and I come from a family of other attorneys. So I've always kind of grown up with the idea that one day that was my plan, to become an attorney. Mm-hmm. And I kept following in that direction and made it happen.
So I have to ask right up front, what are some common misconceptions that you think people have about law or probate? You know, we talked about probate, we talked about estate planning, any of those subjects. What do people think that you're like, that's not true?
Well, the first thing is, if you watch any TV show on law, in a 1-hour segment, they already get arrested, they already get charged, and they already settle the case and go through a jury trial in weeks.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The reality is nowhere near that, and it's years of your life when you get involved with the court. And sometimes probate I've had last 8-9 years, depending on the issues. But normally within a year, if there's no major issues, you can do an essentially good probate. And I can give you examples of where that goes seriously wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, let's start actually with just defining what is probate, what is estate planning, just for our viewers who might not have any clue.
Well, I'll let Tyler do the estate planning. Probate is essentially when you pass away. The probate court court covers guardianships, conservatorships, decedents' estates, mentally incapacitated individuals, and juvenile court. Okay. So probate is actually a very broad area of the law. My specialty is a public administrator. I've been for 25 years a division of the Attorney General's office, where you're in private practice, but estates where there are no heirs, where there's fighting among heirs, where there is theft from an estate. Mm-hmm. The court will say, okay, we're removing you, we're appointing a public administrator to take over this case and make sure it goes right. Mm-hmm.
And I bet people might think they never need those things.
That's where the planning comes in.
Okay, tell me, Tyler.
Well, estate planning is directing how your assets will be distributed. But not only that, it's preparing for who will take over, who will handle your affairs, how they will be distributed, and even during your lifetime, if something was going to happen to you, you can prepare yourself so you wouldn't need to go through the court process of getting a guardianship or a conservatorship. However, we have different vehicles such as powers of attorney, where you can nominate someone and say when that ability to act on your behalf would activate. And you can put that in writing now while you're capacitated and have the capacity to sign this document, so it'll go into effect if anything were to happen to you.
So
I think I want to add that part of estate planning we look at is if you have a disabled child or a grandchild that is going to have a disability, you might want what's called a special needs trust or an amenities trust so that there will be funds available to him, but they won't be used up. He can keep his government benefits. Mm-hmm. You have spendthrift children. You have businesses that you need certain children to take over and run, but you want other children to be part of it. There's so many things that individual families can do. I always say, for most of us, you've got 2.3, you're married, 2.3 children with a house and maybe a cottage. Mm-hmm. Trust might not be appropriate, because you look at your 401ks, you look at your pension plans, you look at your investment accounts, even your bank accounts now have transfer on death. those assets pass outside of probate.
Okay.
So we'll look at and I know we're jumping ahead, but
Yeah, that's
ladybird
okay.
deeds are very common now, where you keep your interest during your lifetime, but during your lifetime you can sell it, rent it, do whatever you want, but upon your death it automatically becomes your children's.
Okay. Interesting. So I have a feeling that people are watching and thinking, maybe I don't need that. Maybe I have to have a certain income level to be there, or, you know, I don't have a cottage. So do I really need these things, estate planning, at this point? What would you say to them?
Tyler, I think we run into it all the time for guardianship or for powers of attorney and powers of attorney for health care.
Well, these are the powers of attorney, what he's talking about. These are simple ways to avoid going through the long and expensive process of the probate court. That's where the court would supervise the division of your property and how your estate will be handled after your death. And a lot of times, if it gets to that level, it's kind of outside of your hands. You want to make these plans ahead of time so it follows the decedent's wishes, your wishes if you're making the plan.
Well, one of the things we do is we've offered to the police officers, some of us taken us up on it, in that you're young, a lot of people now will be living together and have a child and may wait 5 years to get married. Well, you can't go to a chiropractor, you can't go to a dentist, you can't go to any doctor without a HIPAA form. Then, you know, what happens with a police officer? He gets injured on the job. The mother of his children, his life partner has no say. Doctors won't talk to her. She can't make medical decisions without going to a court. And it's a very difficult time. So what our suggestion is, all people, young people with children, people with 18, okay, they need these things. Parents for children at college.
It's something that's needed for, it sounds like everyone needs to get involved.
Right.
It's a common misconception that the spouse has some kind of control and authority to
Or
act
ability.
on their...
Yeah. Wow. Well, unfortunately, we have to take a really short break. We're going to be right back. Stay with us, and you'll hear more about planning for your future.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in! Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and I'm here again with Jim McCann and Tyler McCann from McCann Law. And you know, we ended the last segment talking about the fact that most people who are watching this show could benefit from these kind of services. You know, one thing I've heard is that all of us are really temporarily abled, right? Like we never know the time and place when we could be in a position where I may want something to happen, but if I haven't formalized it, it's not going to happen, whether it's with my estate, with my health care. So talk a little bit more about that. What can people do to make sure that their wishes are carried out, whether for their health or for their estate?
Yeah, as you're saying, health is fleeting. No one knows what tomorrow will bring or what can happen to someone. For young families and old families, you know, the younger families, they don't think they kind of live as if they're invincible.
Right.
You know, you don't hit that kind of life is short wall until you're a little older. However, anything can happen, and having the proper preparedness, which would be a healthcare directive or a power of attorney in a will, or it sets yourself up so your wife can take over seamlessly without getting the courts involved. It's much, much cheaper, much, much easier to do now. Will you have the wherewithal to be able to sign those forms? You know, you want to talk about things where if you have children, who's going to take care of the children? Who will get the house? All kinds of things like that.
I recently went through this with my parents, you know, too, like, you know, again, on that end of like, you know, if both of them should be in a position where neither of them can speak for the other, you know, of course, you know, okay, who's next and who do they call, and just having that formalized. So, and I know you've got stories, I'm sure.
Right. Well, I just want to expand on that a little bit. It's a family plan. One, you want your family to be able to go to the hospital and talk to a doctor. You don't want to go and wait a month to talk to a judge and hope to get what you need.
Right.
Two, it's that planning, as Tyler says. I mean, you know, even for my own son, it's like, okay, you need to lay this down, because if something happened to you and your wife on a trip, you know, in a car accident, who do you want to raise that child? Who do you want to take care of your finances and take care of their assets till they're 25 or 35. You do not want the children to get the money when they're 18. And if you leave it and they inherit it, you're going to get a child that's going to have no money and then all of a sudden have hundreds, thousands maybe, and it destroys children. I've seen it for 35 years now. You give a child a large chunk at 18, they don't know how to handle it. I couldn't have handled it.
No, me either.
So estate planning is something I could tell you, you know, talk to an attorney. And I'm not saying that's because attorneys need work. You know, we're very busy. I have a case, one of the worst cases I have. It bothered me the most because this family was a very well-off family living on a very wealthy area of our metro area. They had a home there. They had a vacant lot there. They had a business. They had a business in Florida. They had 5 beautiful homes in Florida, 3 on the water, a vacant lot on, 3 vacant lots on the water. And the kids decided that they were just going to handle the estate. And what happened was, I got appointed 5 years later. They were still driving mom and dad's car with insurance, the parents named on it, which means the insurance was void. All the insurance on the homes were void because they never notified the insurance company.
Wow.
The home, it was kind of like on a little lake out there. You know, the screen had gone out over the pool. The pool was dark green. And violations of all kinds of ordinance. If the state had been sued, they would have lost everything.
Wow.
And it cost so much more then, and the loss in value on the property. But people get stymied. They get scared. They don't know what to do. They think, well, I'll go through each letter in the basement. No, you got to take a day, just get the recent stuff and throw all the rest away. You've got to move it along. And people don't. But there's warm times. As a public administrator, one of the things I get is people don't plan and they don't have children in the area or don't have children. They pass away and there's nobody there. They don't have estate plans. A lady in Livonia, the Livonia police called me. I went there. She had died in this home. They didn't know it because the water was flowing out the front because the pipes had burst. Nobody had paid the heat or utilities. I went through the house. There was like $15,000 in her drawer. I found bank statements coming in. There was $1.2 million in investments, but she died alone. And when I got her story, I found these letters every day. I knew when she died because she stopped opening these letters. And fortunately, I'm friends with the owners of Laurel Manor, and they're from Italy. So I said, Lena, help me. So we found these letters. We found an address book. She made a call to Italy, and there was this beautiful lady in Italy who was in a nursing home. And I'll never forget the call. She calls and says, I'm sorry, you know, we're from my attorney here. Your sister has died. She goes, she tells us she was a war bride. She came to the United States in '46. She had never seen her sister again. She had never talked to her on a telephone. Because people didn't do it back then. But they wrote letters 2 to 3 times a week to each other for the whole 50 years. And she says, I don't want the money, I just want, you know, pictures of my sisters. That's what I want. I haven't seen her since she was a young woman. And I got a call the next day from her son. Yes, she wants the money.
Well, and again, wouldn't you want to make sure that those things are properly taken care of? And
it is.
And that's really, I think, the essence. And I can't believe it's time to go to another break. We are going to take a quick commercial break. Stay with us. We're going to talk more with Jim and Tyler about estate planning and all those other good things. So stay tuned.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Do you like this top? It's so gay.
Really?
Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
Yes, ready, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Learning how to kickflip 6 stairs takes determination. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and we're in the studio today with Jim and Tyler McCann. And we're talking about estate planning, probate, and during the break, we were talking about disputes. So we would all love to believe that everyone just gets along and that if anyone, family members would get along, right? It's all like wine and roses. Everyone loves each other. Someone passes away. I'm sure there's never a problem they bring to you. Is that right?
Well, you see it a lot. And by the time we're involved, you know, it's too late to make those decisions. And you have children fighting. And that's when things can get ugly. You know, and also not just ugly between person to person, but it's going to be a long process through the courts where things get expensive. You don't want to leave it up in the air to where your children fight, because there's families that have gotten along their entire lives. You've never had a problem sibling between sibling. However, when mom or dad passes and their estate is up for grabs and there's some kind of dispute, the sister thinks she could get this, the son thinks he should get that, and they clash over it.
Mom always told me I was getting that silverware.
Oh,
exactly.
No, we see it a lot, and you see a lot of money. I've seen 3 grown adults fighting for day after day. Finally, paying 3 attorneys to sit there and distribute your home because they each needed their own attorney, and you're paying, at the time, $1,000 an hour for these attorneys to watch you divide up this item or this item, and it's like I'd say the needlepoint chairs, and I'm going to say, well, you can't have a set, and I go, no, I decide you get a set. Yeah. Jumping up and down, finally having us pile up all their books to decide who gets which pile of books. The funniest part was that there was one of the copper figures that we used to cut out as kids, shadows.
Yeah.
And the sister chose that. That's a me. You can't have the picture of me. I got it. It's silly, and when you look at the money spent, that's why I say good estate planning, letting your kids know, good accounting. That's why talking to an attorney, even if you don't hire one, but talking to an attorney and see what the pitfalls are, because even in my own family, when my father passed, I did itemized accounts. I broke everything down. I provided the account statements. I put my sisters and brothers said, no, we don't need this. We don't want all this paperwork. And I said, yeah, but there's never a lingering question in your mind.
Yes.
You can go back and you can look and you can see everything, and it gets rid of those issues. So being organized, keeping the others involved and talking about it, talking to an attorney to see what issues are out there that you don't see, and being prepared like that will not disrupt the family relationships, because there are a lot of families that just don't talk. It just came down to, Mom, you took away what Mom wanted me to have. And it hurts. I don't want to see these people fight over this.
No. And what advice would you give maybe to children who, adult children who their parents don't even want to talk about it? Like maybe they don't even want to enter the conversation. They're like, I don't want to talk about that. What would you say to them? How can they approach that so that it'll move them to a place where they can get some resources?
Well, one of the things I talked about people is get your parents out of the home while they're together. It's so hard once a parent loses the other parent to move out of the home. My mother-in-law wouldn't move out, my father wouldn't move out. But once they go to assisted living, all of a sudden they're not so depressed. My wife goes to Florida for a lot of the winter, and I'm home alone. You go into a dark house, you're by yourself, you're cooking for yourself. It's not good. And the elderly people get very depressed. But assisted living, you're eating with other people, you learn. My father was all of a sudden eating with people who remembered, were in World War II. They knew Eisenhower.
Yeah.
They knew what was going on then. They have somebody in common to talk to. They've lost that in their lives. They need it. It will help them stay strong and stay well. And when we had issues trying to convince my father of this or going somewhere, we did it as a family group. The 4 children got together, and we sat in front of them and said, look, you put us in charge when we got to a point to make decisions.
Yeah.
We think this has got to happen now. And it's that united front that can get parents moving.
Where they need to go.
You can't have one child, well, no, you have to handle that.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Right. Well, I want to make sure folks know how to get in touch with you. Can you give us your website or a phone number? How can they get in touch with you?
We go by McCann Law. Our website is probatemichigan.com, spelled just like probate, PROBATE, MICHIGAN.
No, probate MI, I thought.
probatemichigan.com.
Oh, see? That's why I told you to ask him.
You can find us, by just Googling that within Livonia.
Okay.
Or you can call us at 734-421-7333.
Awesome. And what's the future of McCann Law look like?
Well, right now, Tyler and I do probate. My brother is a criminal lawyer, He's
Okay.
in our office building too. And then we have another gentleman who's there who does business law.
Okay.
And it's, right now we're doing well. We're very happy at our size that we're at, but we don't know. For me, I'm on my way out. It's up to him to decide what he wants to do in the future.
To see what the future looks like.
I think
I've
we'll
only
carry
got 15 years left.
Oh, wow, he's got it down. And I'm sure it's well planned if I
It
know what
is.
I'm hearing here. And in the last few seconds that we have left, what's a quick last message you would leave our audience with?
I think it's, no matter how young you are, today's world has changed so much. The power of attorneys and power of attorney for health care for your spouse. And I like the fact that you need to choose. You don't want to leave the family fighting. If that catastrophe should happen, who is going to raise your children? And then you can go right from the state website forms. When you're giving your children to your parents or your aunt to handle for a week while you're out of town, go to the site. You can get a temporary authority to take care of medical. If they have to rush them to the doctor's office,
Right, you
they'll
never
have
know.
that form.
You never know. Tyler, Jim, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate you sharing with our audience these valuable tips and giving them good information. Thank you for staying with us today. Unfortunately, our show has come to a close. We always enjoy sharing the wonderful resources we have here in Michigan with you, and we can't wait to see you next time.